with the behavioral piece right now, for the simple fact that I'm dealing with a lot of people that are, if you will, having some mental issues. A lot of people that I deal with have mental issues, and I need to understand people better than I do now. And I think I will be covering two things in terms of my professional and my social personality. I'll be able to understand people on a personal level, social level, and I'll be able to understand people on a professional level. I mean, we all are mentally ill at a certain, at a certain degree, for the simple fact that if a thought goes through your mind that you would not like to share it with anyone because you're going to be judged by it, and it's not right, but it's the thought that goes through your mind, and it's not a good thought, and it's something that isn't healthy, then it's an ill thought.
So, that is right. That
so
is very true.
So we all are mentally ill. The thing about being mentally ill is, okay, you're entitled to your thoughts, and you try your best to control your thoughts. And the only way you can do that is check your gates. And those gates are your senses. And those senses play into your sixth sense. So you even though you may have mentally ill thoughts, you don't act on them.
Exactly.
But once you act on them, then we know you are mentally ill.
Yeah, then we can kind of diagnose that, yes. But
Right.
It's true, though. I mean, everybody has thoughts that you would not share in any way, shape, or form, and having the ability to not act on them is, what most of us, of course, do.
Right, which is called self-control. That's called self-control. That's called self-control, managing your own behavior.
Correct.
Behavior management.
That is true. Oh, this is so true. And I think people forget that as well. That, the only difference is being able to control it or not being able to control it. And so why is it that they can't control it? That's what we're looking to help with,
Right. And everybody's different. So it's not one size fit all. Maybe taking breaths might be one way. Maybe closing your eyes and taking deep breaths is another way. Maybe going somewhere and just sitting down for a while and not saying anything to anyone may be another way. It all depends on the person, because some people are more patient than others. And then you have people that aren't patient at all, and they're very anxious. And because they're anxious, that could lead into, anger management.
Very true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
It definitely takes the right kind of person to be able to help in those situations, because it's right, everybody has a different level of patience and, the ability to assist in conjunction with their level of patience and everything else. I mean, so everybody, it's never going to be the same fit for everyone.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right. But there are guidelines to go by, and there are rules, and there are laws to follow. And regardless of what your situation is, you can't be excused. Well, some people are because of their mental illness, but still, you can't be rewarded for negative behavior.
That is very true. But there should be, I think,
intervention. I know there's,
ways to help and intervene, and so that they're not breaking those rules or laws, or
that's why you got to see. You got to make sure that you understand the symptoms. If you see the symptoms, then prevention can be your best intervention.
Oh gosh, yes.
You
No
know,
question.
yes. So, but you have to see the symptoms. Sometimes just being quiet can be a symptom. You know,
That can be a huge, I would say, symptom, but also a flag to look for.
right, exactly.
You know, that's definitely somebody who's overly quiet or overly introverted or overly, you know,
Loquacious.
That can be a huge sign.
Right. And so you have to look at the symptoms and then figure out, well, let me do this or let me do this so that this person doesn't get to this point. Because if that person gets to this point, then that's when it's reaction as opposed to prevention.
Yes.
And then that's where your intervention comes in. Because you got to deal with the response.
I agree. I definitely agree. So important. It's so important to be looking for those, you know, being that I've been trained as a crisis counselor.
Right.
For other reasons, my husband and I have a nonprofit, so that's one of the things that we always are looking for, especially a change in behavior when somebody goes from one behavior to that all of a sudden withdrawn and everything else. That's really, really important because that's something to be looking for and to address so that you can bring them back into their comfortable zone and really assist and prevent something that might come out of that.
Right.
You know, so important.
Right. And if the person is being honest with you about his or her behavior and how he or she feels, then you can structure a program for that person that they can use to benefit them or him or her.
Oh, yes.
But they have to be
Absolutely.
honest. They have to be honest and forthright.
That's important because if they're withholding anything, you really can't put that proper plan together for them to assist them, to help them on all levels.
Right, because they're misdiagnosed then.
Mm-hmm. Gotta be honest. That is so important.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And you know, me being a teacher for 23 years, at first, you know, I was dealing with the students, but after a while I had to deal with the parents because apples don't fall too far from apple trees. And I could see why I could see why the students were acting a certain way because this is how the parents act. And now it's not that they used to act like that when they were a child. They act like that now. And people are getting hurt real bad and all that kind of stuff. So as opposed to being an assistant principal or principal and trying to help parents and help students, it all has to do with, it's all mental. And the best way you're gonna help somebody is through that. You know, and if I talk to them, I did relationship coach on Facebook, and I talk about the self-awareness stage. I talk about the premarital stage, the marital stage, and the postmarital stage. And then in the self-awareness stage, I talk about the physical, the emotional, the mental, the social, and the spiritual. And I talk about that as far as those components of health. And before you even think about going into a premarital stage, what you need to do is make sure you get your house in order through all of those components. And understand this, there's no end to working on those components, but some people have it more in order than others. So I talk about that self-awareness stage, and I talk about the premarital stage as opposed to dating. I talk about courting, because when you're talking about courting, in my opinion, or if you will, I'm trying to get to my professional opinion, with dating, it involves intimacy, physical intimacy, sexual intimacy. But with courting, it's getting to know you. You know, getting to know you, getting to know who you are, where you come from, where you plan on going to, just understanding who you are, and you understanding who I am, and if we are equally yoked, do we have enough in common to bring ourselves together?
Yes.
It
makes. Oh yes, it makes perfect sense. I mean, and that's true. I have always, described courting before dating, because that's what the courting portion is when you're really creating that. I think more of that mental bond. You're learning about each other. You're finding out what their wills and wants and desires are, but you're also finding out what their, what their goals are, what makes them them.
Right.
Finding out whether or not it is a good fit for the two.
Right.
And that to me is what makes it or breaks it. To find out whether or not you have enough that could bond you for a long time, that you really can grow together.
Right. Right, because being equally yoked has to do with your relationship with your Creator. So if you believe in Jesus Christ, then you need to be with someone that's on the same page with you, because if you're not, you're always going to be bumping heads when it comes to your relationship with the Creator.
Oh, that's very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you want to make sure that if you will, your relationship, your spiritual relationship, both of you are on the same page with that. You want to make sure you're on the same political party, because as you know right now, you have Trump supporters and you have people that don't support Trump because of his behavior, his attitude, and things that he doesn't say and things that he does say that make people say, really? And then you have some people say, oh, he's just human, so, it's okay for him to do that. And at the same time, it's like he's not held in high standards, but he wants you to treat him as a king. And he's not a king, he's a president. And he wants to take the role of a king because he wants to do things that a president can't do in terms of having that control. And you may agree or disagree, and that's fine, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, if you are a Trump supporter, and I'm not a Trump supporter, and you're adamant about being one, and I'm adamant about not being one, and we're married, that can break up our relationship.
Yes.
It
absolutely can.
And then the other piece is education. If you only have a diploma, and I have a doctoral degree or a master's degree, or maybe a bachelor's degree, and I'm very well versed because of my education, but you're not, but I love you dearly. I can't take you around the kind of people that I'm normally around, because I don't want you to feel like you don't belong. And I want you to feel like you are under pressure to try to get to where I am, when it took me 8 years and we just got together for 6 months. It's not going to take you a year or less or 2 years to get to where I am, because it took me 8 years to get to where I am. Not saying that you can do it or can't do it. I'm just saying, let's be realistic. And it'd be more like, I'm your professor and you're my student in this marriage. And it shouldn't be like that.
Correct.
So you got your education, you have your marriage, and you have your political party. That's really, really important. And then the other thing is being equally yoked as far as your relationship with the Creator. The second thing is your education. And then the last thing is your political party. The other thing is, where do you stand as far as men and women roles in a relationship as it pertains to marriage? Now, if you believe in Christ, and you believe what the Bible reads, then we'll pretty much have a good time as far as following how we should do things in a relationship. If you follow the Quran and I follow the Quran, and we do that, then we'll do well, because you understand your role and I understand my role.
Yes.
Now, if it gets to a point where you're a woman's liberator, and I'm about what the Bible is saying, but you tell me you're Christian, And I said, okay, if you're a Christian, then you should. Well, I don't believe every, man-made. No, 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 no. We can't work together because
No.
you're wavering. You're on water as opposed to solid ground. You're on shaky ground because you don't know if you're coming or going, and you don't know if you believe or don't believe or should believe. So that's not going to work. So that's why it's good to have conversations with people, because they say, oh, well, I believe that. Oh, okay, so I already know I done lost you, because I'm not going to get into this marriage to try to bring you to Christ. That should be something that I've already, that should have been established. That's how we're equally yoked. And then the thing is, the good thing is the child doesn't bear that burden. And what does he say? It's okay to do that, to marry someone, this thing don't want to go. It's okay to marry someone that's not of the same faith.
Yes.
But I forgot what exactly it says. Oh, but you do what you're supposed to do in that relationship. But I don't think you're going to be penalized for marrying out of your faith. I don't think that, especially when we're in this love covenant. But that's me. I that's why I want to go into behavior management, because I want to be able to help people with their behavior and their attitudes. And I'm only one person, but as long as I see that I'm doing what I need to do to help out with what needs to be done, then I feel good about that.
Absolutely, one person at a time.
Right.
It just takes one person at a time, and we can change the world. If we're out there helping, it makes a huge difference.
And when you have a doctorate degree and they see you, in my case it would be Dr. Fitton, I can go out and I can be a keynote speaker and I can talk about this, that, and the other, and people will listen to me, because people look at titles for whatever reason. Because if you don't have a title and you're talking and they say, oh, who is he? Or who he think he is? He only has, you understand what I'm saying? So for people to respect you and understand where you're coming from, they have to see some credentials. And if they don't see any credentials where you have an EDD or a PhD, then, or maybe a doctorate in law, I forgot what's the title for lawyer.
To be honest, I do not know. I only do the health ones. So let's see here.
Right.
Find out.
But nevertheless, if they don't see that, then, well, I know you can say Esquire, but they're not listening to you. They turn a deaf ear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm seriously interested in pursuing a doctoral degree. As far as money is concerned, I have no money right now to do it. I was hoping to be able to get a fellowship or a scholarship or some grant money where I can pursue my doctoral degree. Like I said, I have my master's in adult and continuing education, my bachelor's in elementary education. So I'm at both ends of the spectrum, from pedagogy to andragogy, where your andragogy deals with adults and your pedagogy deals with children.
Yeah. Nice. Well, when it comes to the Doctor of Behavioral Health, I mean, there are some grants and scholarships out there, but I'll send you some information to help you start with that as well.
Okay.
That'll give you, there's a little webinar that'll walk you through where to look for grant scholarships, things of that nature.
Okay.
And some additional links that I have as well. So that might be a good place to start for that, because it's going to run about $1,088 per credit hour.
Okay,
including your books and minimal university fees. It usually takes about 30 to 36 months to complete.
Right.
Depends on what time of the year you start. That's the only difference between 30 or 36 months. If you do need to take a break or something like that, you can always talk to them, because you do have longer than that to finish it as well.
Right.
But
so it's like 50,000 altogether, if you will.
Correct.
Yeah. Because you're looking at 1,000 per credit, and then you say your books and everything else, so that might be an added 20 or whatever. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. So I definitely need some grant money, scholarship or fellowship.
Well, I'll send you some links to help you with that as well. Kind of give you a little more info on it as well, because it's 84 credit hours, but
it's 84 credit hours.
30. Yes, but 30 of those come from your master's degree. It's only 54.
Okay, so with my master's degree with adult and continuing education, I will be able to do the behavior management doctoral with 54 credits?
Correct.
Okay, great.
I mean, they'll look at, when it comes to your master's, your bachelor's, your master's, they'll look for regional accreditation. So just a heads up, because they'll always tell you the acceptance of transfer credits is entirely at the discretion of the registrar's office of the receiving institution. So that's what they're looking for. Where did you go for your bachelor's and master's?
I went to Chain University in Pennsylvania, the oldest predominantly black institution in the United States.
Yep. Nope. They have their accreditation. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So,
We have accreditation. Yes.
Excellent. What was your GPA for your master's?
3.0.
Nice. That's what they're going to be looking for. So
Okay.
you're in a great position.
Okay.
And for this one, they only want like one letter of recommendation. The GRE or GMAT's not required.
Okay,
And
great.
it's all about, your resume and personal statement, things like that. So let me pull it up here. The Doctor of Behavioral Health is really kind of set up to kind of help you design, deliver, and evaluate integrated behavioral health programs.
Okay.
So it's really it's an amazing program. The staff is phenomenal, laureate scholars and things like that, award winners. You go in here, it's going to have classes like population-based health management, or healthcare systems, organization, delivery, and economics. Of course, behavioral healthcare management, things like that. And I'll send you the links so you can actually look at the classes that are involved as well, so you can check them out.
Okay.
Let me go in here. Now, there will be an internship, just to let you know.
Right.
It's 240 hours for this one. If you're doing the clinical, but you've got to have your licensure and all that, that one's a little bit different. That one is closer to 500. I want to say it's 4 something, but I'd have to look it up here. Let me go in. Kind of give you an idea of how our classes. I should ask you, for your master's or bachelor's, did you do any online? Have you done any online classes? I would assume you have a lot of online experience anyways, being a teacher.
Well,
it's a little crazy now.
Understand this. When I started in 1984.
So you're a similar age to me.
Huh? What'd you say?
You said we're probably similar age. You're probably a similar age to what I am.
Yeah, I'm 58. I'll be 59 in December.
Oh, I'm 49.
Oh, go ahead, young girl.
57, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you Generation X. I'm a baby boomer.
Am I Generation X?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
That for some reason.
If you're 49, you are Generation X.
Nice. Well, at least I know what generation I am now.
Yeah.
So
Because
that's a good thing.
underneath you are the millennials.
Oh, yeah.
And then underneath the millennials is Generation X. I'm sorry, Generation Z. And then after Generation Z, or the generation, yeah, it will be the Alpha generation. That's when everything's going. I'm just going to be positive. That's the generation that comes under Generation Z.
Nice. The new up and coming. I think they'll change the world.
Oh my God.
Hopefully for the best.
Hopefully for the best.
I'm raising a good one. I had her late. She's 15, so she's doing well.
Yeah.
I think we've got some good ones coming up.
Yeah, we do. We just got to get rid of the old paradigm of thinking.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
And the thing is, when I was in education and I attend a seminar for parents and teachers under assistant principal, I'm not sure if it was for parents. I think it was for administrators, because I had got my certification in administration 1, which would allow me to become an assistant principal. So I was looking forward to becoming an assistant principal. But anyway, to make a long story short, the man said, if you can't change the minds of the people, then you have to change the people. So I say that to say this: 9 times out of 10, the way we're going to get rid of the old paradigm of the way people think in the negative way is allow them to die off.
Yep. There's no question. Yep. Can't do anything else. Just gonna have to.
Let them serve their time. Right.
All good things come to those who wait.
Yeah. It's a shame to think of it that way, but what are you going to do? You can't force the hand.
Exactly.
Or the so-called force the hand that feeds you. Nah. But some are going to change and some aren't.
Oh yes. Some are not capable of change.
Because they don't want to.
Exactly.
Change only starts when you're ready to, when you want to. If you don't want to change, the change will not take place. You can't force change.
Absolutely.
You have to be accepted, or let's say, you have to receive change. You have to be receptive of change. You can't force it. You have to be ready for it. You have to want it. It has to be not something that you stumble over and say, okay, I'll try it. Nah. You have to want to change.
Oh, yes. And you have to work for it, too.
Yeah. And work on it.
It's definitely, something that you need to embrace, you need to accept, you need to be ready for. And you have to work at it.
Mm-hmm.
Change doesn't happen in a day.
No, it doesn't.
It just doesn't. So, it takes time, takes effort, and it's well worth it, but not everybody wants to put that into it, so.
Right, you have to make application.
More will want to than those that don't.
Right.
So, that would be the goal. That way everyone could become, I would say, or we would all be in a better place if we were all willing to listen and to work with others and really make those changes.
Right.
To benefit society as a whole. Just all are always going to have those few that are clinging to antiquated or, I would say, just the old ways that are proven not to work.
Right.
Over and over again.
But you want to know something? Some of those ways work.
Oh, definitely.
Some of them work, but everything is not going to have to stay. Because they say, everything changes, but Jesus stays the same. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Jesus is going to stay the same. He doesn't change.
That is very true.
But people, they're going to change. The way people dress, the way people act, the way people react. It's going to be a change, and all of us not going to be for the good, and all of us not going to be for the bad. But yeah, and the reason why it's like that because of how the world is receiving it and accepting it. You know, for you and me,
Yes.
when we were coming up, regardless of how you feel about this, but when we were coming up, it wasn't something that was common if you saw someone walking down the street as a male acting like a female. You didn't
No.
see that.
No,
And you
did not
didn't
see that.
and you didn't see women walking around here trying to look like men.
I agree.
I mean, they may have had a manly persona about them, but they weren't dressing so much as to look exactly like men. And back then it wasn't okay, if you don't feel like being a male, now you can be a female. Or if you don't feel like being a female, now you can be a male. I'm not saying I'm against it, and I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying to you, it wasn't like that back then.
No, you're right. I mean, that was not something that was out in the open for people to see. It
Right.
just really wasn't. And now we have this Denny's that's close to where I live. Every once in a while, my daughter would like to go in there, and the server that we have, almost every time, and the server is absolutely lovely, but it is a man dressed as a woman,
Oh,
down
okay.
to clothing, to nails, makeup, the whole bit.
And what it does is it sends a signal and a message to the young people because they're looking at mom, they're looking at dad, they're looking at their uncles, they're
Yep.
looking at their brothers and sisters, they're looking at their peers, and they're looking at people that aren't their peers, that are over them, if you will, that are given charge over them, and they're watching them.
That's where they're learning things from.
Right,
They're
right.
They're still learning.
Right.
They're building their
very,
background.
very vulnerable, and
Yes.
impressionable, and
Oh,
me
it's
being
crazy what's acceptable now that I mean, not that I'm against it or anything like that, but, you know, those are hard conversations to have with your child when
Well,
she's like, well, Mom, what do I say? What do I
hear you
tell
being
this person?
politically correct, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm against the behavior. I am definitely against the
Yes.
behavior because it does not go along with the Bible, and it doesn't go along with the laws of nature. It doesn't go along with that. So I am against the behavior. I'm not
agree.
against the
And
people.
that's
I'm not against the
what we
people.
have with her,
I'm
because
not.
those are important values for us, and
Right.
you know, we're explaining, you know, this in, you know, the eyes of God
Right.
and the laws of nature. It doesn't, you know, that's not something that should be pursued.